dépouiller tous les mémoires de travaux du XVIIIe siècle. On a retrouvé le mémoire de travaux qui dit les fouilles pour la fontaine à l'angle du fossé. Donc ça, c'est bien la fontaine, là-bas. Et là, ils disent les commodités. Donc il y avait des latrines qui étaient là. Mais je pense que tout ce qui était vivant était là-bas. Et là, c'est, à mon avis, que du stockage pour la cuisine. Parce que c'est hyper rationnel ici.
One of Château de Pernon's mysteries is the moat that borders the chateau on 3 sides. Why is it there? Dry today, did it ever have water in it? How has it changed since it was first constructed? And how can we protect these fragile walls into the future?
When Château de Pernon was constructed at the end of the 18th century, France was a rich and powerful country. The medieval castles and fortresses with their thick walls and surrounded by moats filled with water were a thing of the past. So why did the architect that designed Pernon surround the chateau on 3 sides with a moat?
The real reason is actually quite practical. A dry moat provided access for the staff to areas of the chateau that they needed to access, leaving the main entrances to the chateau exclusively for the use of the noble family and their guests. These staff cooked in the kitchen of the basement of the chateau and also required access to the food storage, which was in the moat walls behind me, and here also was stored the wood for all the fireplaces inside the chateau. So it actually made quite a lot of sense that they used these tunnels. We know Pernon's moat was always dry because the basement has windows and doors. These original floor plans make it clear that these were not added later, but were always part of the design of the chateau. And in the moat walls we can see the vaulted cellars and tunnels, proof that Pernon's moat was never intended to have water in it.
At the end of the 19th century, huge amounts of soil were added to the base of the dry moat in order to raise the level a couple of feet. We think this was done in order to conceal some piping that had been laid at the level of the dry moat. The soil caused humidity levels to rise in the basement of the chateau, and it also raised the level of our access tunnels just enough to make them less and less useful. Several decades ago, sections of the moat wall behind me were repaired using techniques and materials that were not at all in the spirit of the original style of the chateau. And with the general deterioration in the moat wall itself, as well as the disintegration of the vaulted cellars, the time has come to do some serious work restoring the walls of Pernon's dry moat.
This week our local stonemasons have made incredible progress on the first of the walls to be restored here in the moat, this eastern wall, and they have been enjoying this incredible autumn sunshine and are no longer knee deep in mud, which has certainly been the case for the last 2 weeks here. But beside me you can see the process for the restoration of this wall. So the first stage is to remove all the old stonework. This wall was very buckled, stones were falling, it was quite dangerous, and so they have then created a Besser block retaining wall, and in front of the retaining wall then the original stonework wall is recreated. And they've also added guttering, so this is the first time that there is water evacuation to remove water from behind the wall. It is a solid wall, it will last for centuries to come. And then the very final stage is restoring the entrances to each of these caves, so each of these cellars, and the band, that lovely band of stonework that sits on top of the moat wall and finishes it off so beautifully. But you can also see behind me the wall that was repaired in the early 1990s. This wall has two sections. It's got the wall behind me with the tunnel, and then it also has a small section here on the eastern side. This section to the north where the tunnel entrance is will not be restored in this tranche of works. It is simply too expensive for us. We cannot do everything here. We need to protect our funds. It is in really good condition. It's just that it wasn't done in the same stonework as the rest of the moat. This has actually been done in tuffeau stone, which is the same stone of the chateau. Hopefully we'll be able to revisit it in the future. But speaking of the carves, so the cellars in the walls, this week when all the stonework was removed off the latrine cellar, something very interesting was discovered. Come and have a look. These are the 3 caves or cellars in Pernon's eastern moat wall, and they were used for food storage and for a latrine, and we can be confident about their use because our architect has found in the archives that were discovered here at the Château a letter that was written from Pernon's architect to the Marquis, giving him an update on the progress of the construction of the Château. And in that letter he refers to these caves, these cellars, and also the latrines. But we noticed something quite different about this wall here when the stonework came down off this week. So you can see that this has definitely been modified at some point. Now these are the latrines. Inside they have a treatment that looks like a more recent treatment. There's some cement on the base here, and so we know that they were definitely modified. But it looks like what has happened is that the original archway, which you can just see the remaining remnants of the stonework for the archway here, has been filled in to create a door and make this space obviously more usable or private, shall we say. There's always, for me, this huge sense of relief when we start a project of something that's been so fragile. And, you know, we've got so many fragile areas of the domain, and we've got a really clear hierarchy about the order in which we're going to restore them based on their urgency. And so to see the moat walls, which have caused us so much angst about their condition, you know, every time a car arrives or someone walks around the moat, you're really worried about what's going to happen. They've been very dangerous. And so for me to see the work progressing like this, it's such a huge relief. And remember, at the moment we're working on the eastern side, and then the western side will start when the works on this western side are further progressed, because at the moment some of that scaffolding is blocking access. So that's phase 2 of the moat walls.
What I love about the moat area is that it's been such a source of discoveries for us. It was you and I really that discovered the original level of the tunnels themselves and excavated out all of that earth. We've had the metal detectors out and we've made a few discoveries. They're not things of enormous value, but they're things of some historical interest. And then, of course, we've got the well to go, and I can't wait to get down there with the shovel and move some of the mud and earth out and just see how far down the well goes, if it's safe to do so.
Are you going to do that today?
I might have a bit of a go today. It might only go down a very short distance, but if it's longer than that, then we'll have to we'll have to consider a different strategy.
Yep.
But it's really, it's just full of discoveries,
Yeah.
and that's one of the great things. When people put earth down like they've done, it causes enormous problems for us to get it all out. But it does lock in time a whole set of things which we can then go and uncover. And remember, if you want to uncover more of the story of the restoration of Château de Pernon, we post frequently on Instagram.
We post an exclusive weekly video which is available to our YouTube members and our Patreon members. And this week Tim has a confession to make, and what better place to make it than at the chapel. Otherwise, just hit the subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and we'll keep you updated here.